Love is not this magical thing that we like to think that it is, that I like to believe that it is. You're making a choice, and it might be a selfish choice, but it still is a choice. Hi, my name is Dr. Racine Henry. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist here in New York. I specialize in treating couples, especially Black couples, interracial couples, and non-monogamous couples as well.
Yeah, you trying to get smart with me, huh?
This movie is just beautiful from an aesthetic point of view. I think it displays a beautiful form of intimacy. In the beginning, they're having a casual conversation. They're both pretty relaxed. They're in a nice setting that they both seem to enjoy. And when the moment goes from being jovial to romantic, there's a lot of pause and hesitation. And I think that's a nonverbal way of sort of checking in with each other about, is this okay? Should I keep going? What's sexier than the other person wanting to do what you want to do? And the two of you being in agreement about enjoying each other. That's the point of intimacy, and it should be reciprocal and mutual. I think in this instance, people are uncomfortable with seeing love or intimacy between same-sex couples because they're Black and brown. That plays a big role in how homophobia plays out and manifests itself. Black men are held to really ridiculous standards around masculinity, and a lot of that is tied to their sexuality. So in this scene, you have two attractive, young Black men who are showing intimacy, showing affection, being soft, and that's antithetical to how Black men are usually portrayed. And I think it's hard for Black men in America to be homosexual, or at least non-heterosexual, and openly so, without being attached to feminine stigmas or questions about how manly they really are.
I'm all alone now, though. I got a cat. Cute little cat.
Oh, I love Poetic Justice. Janet Jackson in the braids, so iconic. In my opinion, I think this is a healthy form of intimacy, again, because of the tenderness of the moment, of the fact that when she pulled away and walked away, he didn't have an overtly angry or abusive reaction or a violent reaction. Constant bickering is one of those things that I think has become a really harmful trope in film, movies, even in songs and TV shows, because it could be a form of abuse. There could be some verbal abuse happening, emotional abuse happening. I don't see any intimacy or relational red flags. I do, again, have a question around, is this moving too fast for her? And how can they process that and discuss that in a way that is respectful of both of their feelings, but also helps them gain clarity on where they stand in their relationship. Oh goodness, this movie is such a hot mess. And this wig she has on, Jesus. In my opinion, this is another healthy form of intimacy. We know the context of the movie, that they shouldn't be kissing and they shouldn't be being intimate. But I think that their close friendship already laid a foundation of their physical comfort with each other, of just being in the same space and trusting each other. And that's a big part of intimacy, being able to trust the other person with your most raw and vulnerable physical space. In my opinion, timing does play a role in love being able to work out with things like long distance relationships or people who are just in different mental and emotional spaces. Timing can be a really big factor in whether or not the relationship even happens or lasts. I think that the right person, wrong time, and the unrequited love dynamic is another trope that we hold on to in society because of all the appealing and pseudo-magical pieces of it. Love is not this magical thing that we like to think that it is, that I like to believe that it is. Love is really a lot of choice, right? You make a choice behind what you do once you meet that person. So the magical moment might be in that first meeting and the initial attraction or that first conversation, but everything after that, you're actively choosing to call that person, to keep calling them, to go and see them, to kiss them, to have them kiss you. Those are things that you're doing willingly. These things aren't happening to you. You're not falling into it. You're not, so overwhelmed by love. You're making a choice, and it might be a selfish choice, but it still is a choice. Infidelity is my most favorite thing to happen to a relationship. And that might sound crazy coming from a therapist. I don't mean that I want people to cheat. What I mean is that when cheating happens in a relationship, it gives the couple a really unique chance to rebuild their relationship in an honest and open and vulnerable way. In relationships, in life, we can go along and lie to ourselves about a lot of things. You can't lie to yourself about a third person being involved in your relationship. It's something that's unavoidable and that you can't excuse away. You have a choice of either walking away because you've been betrayed, which is a horrible thing, or you can look at what caused it. Infidelity is not ever the problem. It's usually a symptom of a larger problem that's already been in existence. Every time I see this scene, it always makes me laugh that she started crying. Crying during intimacy has a whole host of different reasons or explanations behind it. It's not immediately this person's crying so they're unattracted to me, or they're crying so I made them upset. A person can cry out of joy and happiness and pleasure even. In this scenario, she was crying because I think she felt conflicted of what she wanted to have happen physically, but where she was mentally and emotionally. And again, him being able to hold her in that space, both holding her physically, but also figuratively, I think is a really positive and healthy sign of their intimacy. If in the middle of an intimate or physical moment, your partner expresses any kind of distress or despair, you definitely want to stop whatever is happening the same way that Nathan did in this scene and check in with them. You want to create space for them to cry it out, to talk about it, but you don't want to ignore or minimize what's happening for them. They may not have the words for it. They may not know even why they're upset, but that's a good sign to stop, take a step back, give them space to breathe, and just help them work through whatever they're thinking or feeling. There is no point of no return. And I think a good example that I always use with clients is if you were sleeping with or trying to have sex with your partner and their parent walked in or your child walked in, you would stop. As a parent, I can tell you, you would stop and you would be trying so hard to, not have the person who came in know what's happening. You try to cover yourself, you try to course correct. If you can do that, then you have control over yourself to stop when your partner is uncomfortable. I never noticed that little proud smirk that he makes. In my opinion, this is a healthy form of intimacy. There's nonverbal consent, there's nonverbal communication. They're both taking different risks with each other and allowing for the other person to react and allowing for that reaction to then dictate what happens in the next sequence of their little dance. A lot of the misconceptions that people 25 and younger have about sex is what this scene depicts, really. There are a lot of consequences with sex that we don't normally realize because we do it and we're okay with it. Taking that step with someone, being that vulnerable with someone is a really big decision each time that you do it. Sex can be really awkward and it can be uncomfortable and it can be not very much fun either, and that not mean that there's something harmful or wrong happening. My words of caution for the public about, buying too much into what you see on screens about love and affection is let entertainment be entertaining, but know what applies for you in your real life. Know what makes you comfortable, it makes you feel safe and supported and loved, and stick to that. Have boundaries, make people respect your boundaries, and only be around those who uplift and hold you and bring positive things into your life. You don't have to fit anyone else's standards. You don't have to do what you see people doing on Insecure or doing in the movies or what you hear in music. Do what feels right for you and what makes you happy, and decide for yourself what love looks like.